Welcome to Optimize Your Body. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. I'm here with my buddy, Mr. Andrew Bond. Once again, he's out in New York City in the lovely, cold, bitter American winter. How you doing over there, my man?
Pretty good, mate. It was actually in the 80s last night, and now it's gone back to cold, bitter, terrible, windy, rainy weather. So they're teasing us a little bit with this short change in the weather.
Oh, lovely jubbly. It's still nice and warm over here in Sydney, mate. Sorry to rub it in, but
Thanks for that, mate.
it's all right, mate. It's beautiful. 25 degrees, just perfect, man. So rub a little bit of salt into your wounds there, mate. I saw you doing a photo shoot. Yeah, by the way, as most of you know, Andrew's a model, and he's signed with Wilhelmina now, a really big agency out there. And he was doing a photo shoot in the sun, in the bloody snow, when it was like -10 or something. And what's the matter with you, mate?
Yeah, I got randomly approached by a photographer, Stefan, whom I know I've done a shoot with before. He just said, "Do you fancy doing a shoot in the snow?" And I thought, yeah, bugger it, we'll give it a go. I probably lasted about 2 minutes out there. And that's as far as we got. We got one good shot in, but it didn't quite go to plan. So something I wouldn't be advising anyone else to do.
That's
They want
good going, huh?
hypothermia, maybe go for that. But it was definitely a good shoot. It was we got one decent picture and a lot of likes. So
Happy days, mate. It's all
happy
about the
days.
likes. It was worth getting hypothermia then. After all that,
That's it, mate, yeah.
putting those
Changed my life.
putting those cold showers to the test, mate, isn't it?
Oh yes,
Doesn't
still
doesn't
doing them, mate, for the winter as well. That's been a struggle though. It's been very cold on occasions, mate. It's
I bet it has.
this weather with the pipes freezing and things like that. It's a big test for me in the mornings. I know that.
I bet it is, mate, because when you get out of that shower then it's like, here in Australia now, I'm like, oh yeah, this is easy, because I never have warm showers anymore, you know. Always cold showers, wakes me up, makes me feel alert, and it's definitely done something to my health, because I do feel a lot better physically and mentally, really, since doing them for the last, say, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. But yeah, man, here it's fine because it's warm, jump in the shower, and like in the morning it's quite tough, for like, 4 in the morning before clients. But the other day I was thinking, if I was back in the UK, I don't think it'd be as easy, man. You know what I mean?
No, it's a big struggle. It depends what day it is. Like sometimes you feel like it's warm outside and the shower will be freezing cold. So it's a bit of a shock to the system. But I try and get a minute under there if I can, at least. So I do a little bit of warm first, then a minute cold. And I just sit through it. Mate. I count the seconds down, and I just push myself through it. But it's definitely chilly.
All good. How's it going with clients and stuff lately then, Drew, in terms of your personal training clients? Are they getting good results? I just wanted to relate to the listeners how we try and apply what we know nutrition wise with some of our clients. I mean, do many of yours kind of are they coherent with it? Do they actually stick to what you tell them nutrition wise? I mean, what's your success rate like, mate?
It's mixed. Like as you know, personal training doesn't have a huge success rate. There's people who have lost weight and then they put it back on. So we're kind of working to establish different goals at the moment. But there's definitely people there who are. They're coming from the perspective that they've been kind of drilled by their old personal trainers. They've been hit hard each session. They've come along with injuries. They kind of feel that that's the way they need to train all the time, like high intensity. You have to hurt for days after your workout. And then me trying to change their mentality is one of the biggest things and bigger challenges that I have with my clients. But when you eventually do get through to them, it may take a little while. They start seeing those results long term, and then they're so happy with the process, happy with the results, and it's much easier for them to take the weight off, and keep the weight off long term. So
That's exactly right. Yeah, I get the same thing. So because I know that's the battle really. It's outside of the gym, isn't it? Obviously, you can't really, you would never want to control them, but you can't really control what they're doing outside the gym, and it's a bit of a battle when it comes to being consistent with just making the right choices in terms of eating healthy. Because here in Australia, as you know, you lived here yourself before, the social scene is very big. It's very when it comes to socializing, eating out, drinking, it's a big part of the culture. So and obviously with the weather as well, I find a lot of my clients here just battle on the weekends, where a lot of them can keep it tight in the week, and they're just making healthier choices, getting enough sleep, and then when it gets to the weekend, it sometimes goes tits up, and the same goes for myself, really, So it's just that consistency in the end, and what I found is the success. Like I said in the last podcast, and I've said it a few times, the ones who track consistently, and what I tend to do now is I keep an eye on them. Because obviously on my fitness pal you can change the diary settings, you can see what they're actually eating, not to the point where I'm like stalking them, but it's just so I can keep in touch with them and see what numbers they're hitting and stuff. And I find
only the hot ones, is it?
Yeah, that's exactly right, mate. Now I get a much better success rate though when it comes to people tracking, consistently with that. Even if they have like a poor weekend, they'll keep track of it. And what I find then is that they're getting better results because they know, like say for example, they go well overboard on the weekends. They know they can pull it back just by maybe going a longer period without food on a Monday, maybe fasting in the morning, and then having a lower calorie day, and they pull it back much faster. So it helps a lot, I think.
You're talking about the drinking there. I think like especially in this environment in America, you're kind of overworked. It's different lifestyle to what you get in the UK and Australia. Obviously, with vacation or holiday time, like you're very limited to the amount of time you get off. So their focus is work, work, work. So the biggest battle, I guess, is that they're highly stressed, they're highly strung, and they drink. Obviously, some people drink wine every night. A lot of wine, and then their inhibition's lower.
Sure.
And they're likely to make the wrong choices with their food, overconsume, or just overdo their calories from drinking as well. And that's kind of the biggest battle you have to come across, So you're constantly kind of fighting with your clients in that way.
That's exactly right, mate. And that's what I find as well. I find it's the habits, and I can refer this to myself as well when it comes to just creating good habits and being consistent with it. It's like you can easily pick up bad habits, which most of us have most likely picked up more bad habits than we have good over the years, and it's just like you said then, people get into the habit of drinking, every night, even if it's just one or two, but as you say, if you look at the long-term effects of that and like what it does to your mentality and, it's just creating those good habits and being consistent. It's like, Andrew and I right now are looking to focus more on, building business and building more financial success in the future, so we're trying to be consistent with certain things now as well when it comes to just, creating good habits. For example, with me, I'm trying to bang out one of these podcasts every week now, and just keeping the momentum with that. And it just applies to anything in life, really. You can relate it to health. It's just doing the simple things right, setting yourself goals, and just giving it your best shot, really, right, Drew?
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're not perfect all the time. We kind of drop in and out of these things as well. Like my focus at the moment is trying to stay off social media as much as I am. I definitely feel that it can make you negative in some ways, especially Facebook, where people are complaining all the time. So I'm trying to limit the time that I actually spend on social media. But I think it was a couple of days ago that I was looking to do a little bit of work for myself. So take notes, read up on some old coursework. And I just found that I just updated a picture on Instagram. And I was so distracted by it. I was just constantly checking it. And I just felt I had an unproductive day from that. So again, like I say, we're not perfect, but still trying to establish these good habits. But it does hit us as well. So there are times where we slip up. I know we're running a podcast, but we can relate to the things you were going through as clients and as people who are going to the gym as well.
That's exactly right, mate. And I'll be straight. When it comes to keeping myself in shape and keeping myself healthy, that's my kind of forte. That's what I'm good at. That's what I've been doing for years. So that for me is just second nature now, the same as you, really. It's not something we really think about anymore. Whereas other people, a lot of them tuning into this podcast, that could potentially be a weakness of theirs, and they're looking to create better health and a good physique to go with it. But I really do struggle when it comes to really creating the good habits, and like social media, like you said then, like I set myself, what I do on a Sunday is I try and get my post ready for the week, so it saves me, because as you said, it takes so much time and energy when you're putting this post up. Smart. Exactly, you're trying to educate people, so you're putting like quite a long caption, and it's taking you a lot of time and energy. And then, as you say, then it's an addiction. Social media is just more powerful than most drugs, if you ask me. And it's the way I look at it, it's an experiment. They really don't know the long-term effects and the damage this is doing to people long term. But yoga, for example, my New Year's resolution was to do, meditation. Yeah. Done it consistently for about 3 weeks. Once again, making excuses. My mum come over to visit, stopped doing it, and I've lost the pattern altogether now. And it seems, other than nutrition and training, everything else is still work in progress for me, and I'm talking about everything, managing my time, having structure with things, just so, like you said, you're not getting sucked into social media, because the average person spends 2.5 hours minimum a day on social media alone, and that's just bloody scrolling through other people's lives and actually wasting time, not doing anything productive on there. So we fall into that as well, don't we, And that's what this podcast is going to be related to anyway. It's related to actually body image issues. body dysmorphia, or for us guys, hopefully a lot of guys can relate to this, but it's actually a condition they've named now, and it's called Bigorexia. Andrew and I battle with this big time because we are both skinny, quite skinny, slender kids. Am I speaking for myself? Am I okay then? Maybe Andrew wasn't. I was speaking for myself. I was like a bloody string bean, mate. I didn't actually know you back then, but oh, so you're telling me you've always been buff then, is it, And?
Always buff, mate. Always ripped.
But yeah, that's what this podcast is going to be about. It's just what's that?
Great calves.
Great calves, fantastic. And we'll definitely come to that now, because Andrew and I do have a complex when it comes to small calf syndrome. But I know a lot of people can relate to this, and some people might be thinking body image issues. I haven't got that. That sounds a bit extreme. But believe it or not, most of us do have it, and it's completely normal. But it's just having the right drive, for getting in shape, improving, achieving optimal health, building muscle, losing body fat, whatever your goals are, is having the right reasons, the right drivers behind that. Because what I find is a lot of us are not happy with certain areas. We have a negative view of certain parts of our body, and we use that as a driver to get in shape and to achieve sustainable health. But you can take it from Andrew and I, the track record for myself when it comes to people coming to me saying, right, I want this to look better, I want that to look better. Long term, I haven't got a great success rate. What about yourself, And?
Same. I think the biggest issue is that people are not generally happy when they reach those goals, right? That's the biggest problem you have. You're relying on looking at other people on social media, as we just discussed earlier, and these guys are unachievable as well. These type of physiques sometimes can be unachievable. A lot of the pictures these guys are taking on social media, they're taking them when they look their best. This is not what they look like all year round. A lot of them may be using ergogenic aids or supplements that are illegal to get them there as well. I'm not saying they don't work hard. I'm going to take that away from them, but it's unachievable for some of us. Some of them are genetic freaks. Like social media can give you kind of a small element of inspiration, but can leave a big element of intimidation on yourselves as well, because quite frankly, it's probably having a negative effect on most of us. Even myself, like I said, I was scrolling through social media the other day. I'm following a lot of fitness guys. I'm following a lot of fitness models at the moment because I've been signed to a big agency, and quite frankly, it's probably not doing me a world of good, because I'm finding that I'm comparing myself to others too much, and we are all individuals. So as an individual, you've got to be yourself and be true to yourself, and do what and follow your own strengths, and be on your own journey and not follow others,
Absolutely. I can totally relate to that, because with myself now, as I say, my aim is to build an online business. Much like yourself, I can't really see me doing personal training forever, as much as I like it. I've actually been doing it for over a decade now, and it's been an amazing journey, and I've trained, I don't know, nigh on 1,000 people, and it's been fantastic. But I can't see me doing it forever. Anyway, my goal now is to try and build up an online business and move with the times as far as reaching more people and on a digital level. So I find that's where it's at now. What I find myself doing is comparing myself. I do occasionally compare myself to different physiques and stuff like that, but now it's more a case of certain people I follow who are killing it. They've built like a $1 million business or whatever online. Some fitness gurus, and I find myself, I get that voice in my head like, what are they doing different to me? Why can't I do that? And I really get. I'll do it on almost a daily basis, and I'll go into a little negative pattern. I have to snap myself out of it. But that's what you need to really be aware of, folks. Is social comparison. So, they're not stupid the way they've built these social media platforms. It portrays a message of what attractiveness should be. So let's just look at body image issues, right, and how these social comparisons, you comparing yourself to other people, which most of us do on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, it's going to definitely not do you any favors mentally, and if anything, it's just going to instill any kind of negative thoughts you have about your image or your physique or wherever that may be. It's just going to cement that in even more. So like Andrew said, then it might be an idea to try and give yourself a strict kind of goal where you say, right, I'm only going to spend X amount of time on social media. But yeah, I think it betrays the wrong message. As Andrew was saying as well, a lot of people use filters. I've seen a lot of these fitness models in person, and trust me, a lot of them don't look like what they look like on Instagram. You know what I mean? And that's not, a lot of them have amazing physiques that look really good, but it portrays off. For example, some certain people look a lot healthier on their Instagram than when you see them in person. People might say the same about me, because I was a bit of a sucker for filters, so I still throw in a cheeky one here and there, but I try not to now. I try and keep it real.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, but
again, a lot of my pictures up there are pictures where I've been with a photographer, right? So I'm at my leanest. I've been dieting for a while. I'm as lean as possible and ripped, and I've got a professional photographer with me who knows about lighting, creates good lighting, has lighting there to make my physique look better. So also be aware of that. We're not always looking as lean as we are, although we're pretty close to it, like a lot of us are. But be aware, some of us are taking professional pictures because this is what we want to do, and we're chasing this dream of becoming a fitness model. So we're trying to build our portfolio. So just always have that in the back of the mind, that we don't always look this perfect, So that's something you need to look out for.
That's a great point.
And let's look at the success of some of these people. Like I understand you had Jamie Alderton on the show recently. The guy is a machine when it comes to his business, and he's highly successful. But a lot of these social media gurus are kind of portraying a false image of how much money they have. No doubt some of them are probably still living at home with their mum. They're promoting supplements. Like some of these supplement companies don't pay them anything.
No,
as
exactly.
you found out before.
Oh, mate, there's very few. Oh, mate, there's very few people making money off supplements.
Slim to none at the moment. Like they're looking for people who have a decent following, and they will give you probably a few free tubs of protein, pre-workouts, intra-workouts, etc. each month. They're not getting paid for that. They're then discounting clothes on there, which they're getting free clothing. They're not getting paid for clothing. Unless you're one of the top guys, you're winning Mr. Olympia, or you're winning certain shows, it's few and far between the amount of money these guys are getting. So sometimes let's not be fooled by the lifestyle they're leading, also not be fooled by the way they look. The odd one or two looks like that all year round. You're pretty close to it as well, mate. Pretty close to being as shredded as you possibly can be. I stay pretty lean all year round, but I'm not to the point where I'm absolutely shredded to the bone. That you might see me in some of my pictures as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not real, is it? So what a lot of these people see is, we're looking. I've been there myself, where I was sponsored by a supplement company years back when, my knowledge just wasn't there, and I had different drivers behind me. My paradigm, as I've mentioned before, everything. I've evolved now, and now I'm just a completely different person. And I can tell you myself, it was the same for me. I was pushing out these pictures, or whatever, sponsored by Cymax Nutrition. But all I was getting was, I was getting like £200 worth of free supplements from them a month, and in reality, we're looking at these people, and as Andrew said then, it's portrayed like they're actually making a lot of money, and they're really, really financially successful. They're living the dream. But let me tell you, it's really, most of the time, it's really not the case. And let's just look at perfection and the ego, for example, as I mentioned on another podcast. The ego, okay, so the inner us is striving for perfection. Is striving for everything, our physique, everything about us to be impeccable, right? Now, there is no such thing as perfect. Let me tell you that. I'll tell you that now. There's no such thing as perfect. And for me, imperfection is perfection, if that makes sense. We all have flaws. We're all different. We all have weak areas. We all have strong areas, right? And we need to work on the, if you ask me, you need to find, whatever you're good at, find out what that is, and work your nuts off to get excellent at that, at whatever that skill is. And that's all you can do, is do your best. There is no such thing as perfection. The ego is based on our self-esteem, our self-worth, and it's completely normal to have that voice in your head, which is telling you to strive for perfection, like this physique you might have in your head, like this kind of illusion, because that's what it is, folks. I'll tell you that for nothing. It's a bit of an illusion. You'll again, naturally, even if it's subconsciously, you're going to be comparing yourself to some of these people you saw on social media, fitness models, or wherever it is. You know, these Insta famous people who look great, and even subconsciously you're going to be comparing yourself to these people, and you're going to be striving for an image which, you know, even if it is realistic for you to reach this image you have in your head. Maybe you have killer genetics, just like this Instagram model you're following. You're an anomaly, and you've been training for years, and you get super lean, and you've got an amazing physique. Everyone's looking at you like, wow, you look great, but you still are not going to be satisfied. I can tell you that for nothing. And because Andrew and I have shifted our paradigm now, again, without trying to big us up too much, you know, it takes a long time to get to a point, you know, and as I say, this is the drive behind this podcast. It takes a long time to get to the point where you're just tuned in with how you feel, your energy levels, you know, your sleep, your skin, your libido, all these things. It takes a while to get to a point where you're tuned into those things and you are no longer even really thinking about your physique. You know, obviously, Andrew and I, as we said before, we're still looking at our abs, you know, 50 to 100 times a day. Maybe not that much, but we still check ourselves out in the mirror and take the odd selfie. Nothing wrong with that, but let me tell you, we've toned it down a hell of a lot, and that's an understatement, because now we're tuned into health and looking after ourselves and the physique. I mean, aesthetically, we're both in the shape of our lives, really, without having to think about it too much. So that's the point you want to get to, folks. Social media is not going to do you any favors in that arena, right? And
yeah, exactly. Do you feel that it's just stemmed from social media, or do you feel this has been happening before, like with magazines, or
absolutely not? Yeah.
And how would you categorize it? Like, would you say that it's surely more prevalent in women before kind of social media?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well before.
I definitely say, like, women are seen, and this is not to offend any women out there at all, but over the years, women have been seen as sex symbols. So there must have been more pressure on them before, and I'm sure now, with the emergence of social media, it's becoming more prevalent in males. But again, males are less likely to talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
Like, when did you ever really discuss your body dysmorphia with myself? Like, obviously, we've done it the last few years, but beforehand, you probably would have kept it all bottled inside, because it may be seen as a weakness, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't even admit to it. You wouldn't even be self-aware enough to know that you had this before, right? Obviously, you were kind of aware that you weren't happy with certain areas, but you wouldn't actually be aware enough until you've actually learned and evolved a bit. You're not really aware enough, you. And actually, I wanted to. We kind of jumped ahead a bit there, because just as Andrew,
we've gone off on a tangent, but it's good. It's good. We can cut back on it. You know,
we
in
can
terms
cut
of
back.
like, is
it
a category of like mental health? It probably is. Like, I know they're not classifying as a type of eating disorder, but can it definitely lead into that?
Oh, social media is relatively new, so let's just track back a bit, right? Because let's just look at what the causes are. What are the root causes for these issues? Every single one of us have. I mean, even if you're not aware enough to know it, you most likely have, you know, some sort of. Let me just track back again now. I'm not saying everyone's got a body image issue, right? Because how do you define that, right? What I'm saying is, you know, we're all looking to. Most people listening to this podcast, most people want to look good. Nothing wrong with that, right? But what are the causes? What are the root causes to why we're unhappy with certain areas, and you know why we compare ourselves with other people? Let's just go back to. Let's track back to like puberty, for example, right? So we go through these changes, really, really big changes. You know, It completely kind of defines who you are as a person, right? When you're going through puberty, and who you're knocking around with, and the kind of environment you're in is going to definitely ingrain any kind of image you have in your head of yourself is definitely going to be multiplied through that period, right? So, you know, back then, you know, when you're going through that very transformational period of puberty and stuff, you know, some people. You remember when you were in school and stuff, you would have, for example, with me, I was a late starter, right, when it comes to puberty. Yeah. So, in school, I was like, I wasn't very popular, you know. I used to play sports and stuff, and I was always like looking like, you know, how come these guys have got like really deep voices, you know, testosterone levels through the roof. They were twice the size of me, you know, smashing me around on the rugby pitch. Luckily, I was quite fast, but that's about all I had. And you know, and I remember back then thinking, oh man, you know, why can't I be bigger? Why can't I level up on the, you know, why can't I level up to these guys? And obviously, it's just a genetic thing. I was late starting puberty, but then when I was about 14, 15, everything started kicking in, and I started lifting weights at the same time when I was 14. And I just really enjoyed it. By the time I got to 16, I think that for me is when I really hit the peak of my, or not so much the peak, but my testosterone levels really started kicking in then. Like I said, I was a late starter, and I really began to grow. But obviously I didn't really know shit about lifting weights really back then compared to what I know now. I was just training chest and guns for the ladies, you know. Obviously, we always want to look good for the ladies and try and attract the opposite sex. Nothing wrong with that, right? Especially at that age. You know, you're all out doing your thing at that age, aren't you? And, you know, enjoying yourself. And I think, yeah, I was just training chest and guns, and to be honest, I didn't even touch my legs. And genetically, I've got long, skinny legs anyway, so that was a huge error. So then I started doing squats when I was about 17, 18, and then I started catching up. But yeah, like genetically, it's taken me years to discover I'm just not built to have big legs, you know. Whereas my upper body and everything else responds really, really fast, and you know, I get loads of fullness. I've got to be very, very careful, and even now it's a constant battle for me to keep that proportion in my legs, in terms of how, you know, the symmetry and the proportion with the body. It's very, very tough for me to keep that proportion. So a lot of it is a mental game. You know, what I see in the mirror is not what other people see. So even now, Andrew and I still battle this. And yeah, I'm sure you've had similar kind of experiences, and
yeah, probably similar to you in terms of being in school. Most definitely, mate. There was always guys who were like huge, right, playing rugby against when we were like 12, 13.
Yeah, exactly.
They're on another level, and you're always in the back of your mind. You're like, am I going to grow? Is a certain thing is going to hit me the same way? So I guess that does develop certain insecurities when you're growing up. So I don't know if that from then stems to how we are now with the social media, in terms of always kind of comparing yourself to others. It's definitely heavily weighted to men more now as well. I guess with what you're saying about trying to be bigger, mate, I think. Most men now are looking to achieve a bigger physique, right, and be more muscular and have a bigger frame. Whereas I don't know about women or females in school, but how did they feel? Was the look then, you know, for them to be skinnier in school? It'd be great to get some of the female listeners' perspective on this, but it seems to be the opposite. Maybe that's changing now with the emergence of females lifting weights, and now they're trying to be more muscular and trying to be bigger. But definitely, most certainly in school, like from talking to the teenage girls at that time, their thought process that we want to be skinnier, that I'm feeling chubby, and the men were trying to get bigger. So those things may have switched around now, but we've been comparing ourselves from an early age. And for me, I feel sorry for the kids in school now, because that's only going to be heightened. They're constantly on camera. They're constantly on Snapchat. They're constantly on Facebook. They're constantly on Instagram. So anything they're going through surely has to be heightened in a worse way now, you know?
Definitely, mate, 100%. Yeah, and I couldn't agree with that more, because that is, you know, the era we live in right now when it comes to social media and stuff. But at the same time, it's very interesting, because we've seen it. You know, we've absorbed. We've witnessed how it's kind of evolved a lot, the health and fitness industry over the last few years. Whereas, just as you were saying then, guys wanted to be big, you know, just like us. Like with me anyway, I was always trying to get bigger, build more muscle. And that's probably stemmed from insecurities. Like I said, when I was younger, I was skinny and whatnot. But guys normally want to grow and build muscle, whereas with the women, it's normally the opposite. They want to get, you know, a bit more slender, if you like. Yeah. However, what I've noticed is really, really good to see, and it's really exciting to see, is that now, whereas it was like guys wanted to be massive, they were looking up to all these, you know, like Mr. Olympic kind of bodybuilders, which, don't get me wrong, I still look up to these guys, and so does everyone else, in terms of, you know, admiring them and the dedication. And it's just, you know, they're in the small 1% of people to look like that on stage. But a lot of guys now, they don't want to look like that, you know. It's not really an aspirational look, if you like, now when it comes to being massive and, you know, roided out or whatever. So now it's good to see the trend now where it's like almost health is finally starting to kick in now, where it's like, right, okay, I want to look, you know, a lot of people now, a lot of guys want to look, you know, lean or shredded, whatever you want to call it. But the bottom line is that comes down to health, you know. They want to build muscle, but a lot of guys don't want to look huge as such, do they, nowadays?
That's it. That's obviously a good. It can be a good thing and a bad thing. Like, and from what you're saying, obviously, with regards to, I know you said that you wanted to do this podcast because there's been certain issues in Australia, and I know you mentioned on the Mind Pump podcast where guys are taking it to the next level, and they're having huge issues mentally, and then they're eventually committing suicide from it. So ultimately, it's great that we're seeing a trend that, no offense to anyone who wants to get like a bodybuilder and wants to get big, it's entirely up to you. You can do whatever you want with your own body. Okay, you can get huge, you can eat that way, you can take this, you can do that, you can train that way. But we want people to be healthy, we want people to look good, we want people to have a nice aesthetic physique for the beach. But this is kind of a mental health issue. And if it goes to the next level where people are going to the extremes and then eventually committing suicide, that's when it becomes an issue and a problem.
Definitely, mate. And that's a very good point as well to any guys out there now. Obviously, I had our boy Aaron Correa from Protectors on the podcast, and he's created his own mental health business, if you like, where he's I wouldn't want to call it a business. It's a mental health awareness movement he's created, which is amazing. Yeah, because he's helping guys all over the world now.
Let me ask you this a question. When you were living with Aaron, like, were you aware that he was going through like depression or mental health? Because I spent time with him, and you know, he's a outgoing guy, right? He loves to party. He's very good with women. He dresses really well. Always seems to be happy. You know what I mean? I was never aware that he was going through these issues, which can kind of be a problem if you're a parent or if you're a friend of someone who is going through body dysmorphia or depression. You may not be able to pick up on it on the outset. So I don't know how what your thoughts are with that. You were living with him for a few years.
Absolutely right. Yeah, just as I mentioned on the other podcast, I was living with him for like a year, and not once did I have an inkling that he was depressed or anything like that. And the same goes for like the majority of guys, because they try, and this is what we talked about. You know, a lot of guys try and keep it under wraps. Luckily now, thanks to people like Aaron, the stigma is now there's less stigma attached to it now, so more and more guys are coming out and talking about it and stuff. But yeah, that's what it's very interesting, because since social media has came so popular and mainstream, it has actually, if you look at the stats, it did a lot more men were committing suicide and suffering from depression and whatnot. So maybe social media does play a little bit of a part in it, because they're maybe comparing themselves and making themselves, you know, kind of judging their self-worth on the wrong things and comparing themselves too much to other people, and then you know, putting themselves in a worse state of affairs. So that could play a part in it. But what's very interesting is like women now as well. So I'm going off onto something else a bit now when it comes to body image. You know, they do actually they're getting in tune now with the fact that lifting weights and building muscle, so that's technically growing, ladies, right? That's what you're doing. Although we have to sugarcoat it a bit, don't we, Andy? We have to use words like tone and sculpt your body.
Tone kills me, man. Kills me. I've having this discussion every day, mate, about toning and things like that. With female
that word.
And it's painful, really is, like, honestly. And you know, it's about educating, right? It's about breaking it down for women, but ultimately, you know, when you're lifting weights, you're going to get tighter, leaner muscles anyway. Let's forget about this word tone. Look, to build muscle, you're not Serena Williams combined with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're not going to get massive. Me and Martin are still trying to build muscle every day, and it's taken us years and years.
That's exactly right.
It'll take you a long time, unless you're a genetic anomaly.
Yeah,
unless you're on a lot of gear.
Yeah.
If you're on the same amount of gear as Phil Heath, you're a genetic anomaly of the combined genetics of Arnold and Serena, you're still not going to get massive.
Exactly, you're not. And that's it. And I've had this battle with a few clients, but like, you know, you're building muscle now, and it's great to see, because you're going to look so much healthier. You're going to create. I'm so passionate, as you know, and Andrew, this is what we do, right? We're extremely passionate about lifting weights. And I tell you what's at the bottom of the list is the aesthetic side of it and the beach body, which comes with it, right? Now let's just look at long-term health. Lifting weights, right, is great, because as we get older, we get much more susceptible to conditions such as osteoporosis. You know, our bones become more frail as we lose collagen and whatnot as we grow older. Metabolism slows down. Now, nothing is going to combat this more than lifting weights, right? So you're gonna build the connective tissue, you're going to build the collagen, you're going to slow down the aging process, because you're going to be building muscle, which is going to be favorable for your body for long-term health. So that is, I mean, and that's what's great to see. Women are now tuning into the fact that actually, you know, because there was a kind of wave, there was a period where, you know, the Posh Spice era, where it was like all about being a size 0 or being skinny, you know. And the bottom line is that's not healthy. To look like that is generally going to mean you're going to be on one of these Hollywood diets where you're eating a couple of sticks of celery and a couple of glasses of water a day, and you're just essentially malnourishing your body just so you can be skinny. And that is not going forward a good look. So if you ask me, it's not a good look anyway. I like a bit more meat on a woman when it comes to actually having a decent amount of muscle mass. Let's just say we all have all guys love a great booty, right? I'm just going to put it out there. So that's what's great to see. Now women are looking to build muscle. They want to build their glutes or whatever, and they want to build their strength, and it's great because when it comes to long-term health, you're doing yourself the world of good. And when it comes to like certain areas, let's just say. A lot of women come to me. They want to lose a bit of body fat from their midsection, from their stomach, and even by not changing anything with your diet, which is the most important part, and you're going to need to focus on nutrition at some point. But let's just say within the first of four to 8 weeks of lifting weights properly, you're most likely going to lose a little bit of body fat around there anyway, because you're going to be elevating your metabolism, and your body is going to be burning more calories at rest because you've built muscle. To keep muscle on your body has to work harder and burn more calories. So just for 1 pound of muscle, your body's going to burn, if you build, say, like 1 pound of lean muscle, your body's going to burn, let's say, between an extra 30 and 50 calories a day by you not doing any extra. Okay, so that's just to keep that muscle on your body. So just bear that in mind. You're definitely going to improve your physique rapidly by lifting weights, and it's just kind of having the goal of achieving good health, because that is what you're going to get when it comes to lifting weights, and then eventually putting the right food in right hand.
Exactly, mate. That's it. And let's look at, we don't want that these body image issues with females lead into anything further like anorexia or anything more serious. But like if you are with someone and you feel they may have body dysmorphia, what kind of signs and symptoms do you feel that people need to look out for? Like, is it that they're cutting out certain food groups? Are they getting too obsessive? Are they cutting out like fats, carbohydrates? You mentioned earlier about lifting your shirt up in the mirror, right? Mm-hmm. But as a joke, but that is a serious symptom that somebody has like body dysmorphia if they're constantly doing that over and over again.
Absolutely.
I know you've been through it, mate, and I've been through it, and we've done it. We've checked together, mate. As gay as that sounds,
definitely.
We've checked our abs together.
We've got plenty of pictures to prove as well.
We have. We'll post them soon enough. Don't worry about it. But let me just tell you about this is a bit of an ongoing joke, but I've been to the point where I've been pinching my lower ab constantly. And I know you and Jacob, I used to work with Jacob in Bristol and in DW, and he used to constantly mention I was always pinching my lower ab. And it became a kind of like OCD, right? It was a bit of a habit that I felt that I was getting fat. So if I would eat certain foods or I wasn't training and things like that, this is kind of the issue I had. This is definitely linked to OCD or body dysmorphia, where I was constantly checking my lower ab to see if I was still lean.
And that wasn't so long ago, if you think about it. Although we've come a long way, if you think about that, that was like a year and a half ago. That was in Toronto.
100%. Yeah,
and I remember I picked up on it. I'd noticed it before, but it was so frequent out there, mate. It was like literally you must have pinched your skin about 30 to 50 times a day. Yeah. It was like, and that goes to show like that is obviously a disorder, isn't it? But have you kicked that habit now, or have you dumbed it down a bit? Or calmed it down a bit, should I say?
It's definitely lessened, mate. It's definitely very infrequent now. The more I guess I always obviously care about my physique, but I'm definitely more focused on health now, and I'm definitely more focused on learning about my own body. That is definitely more infrequent. It'll happen occasionally, and I'll snap out of it. But before, it was just so prevalent. It was happening every few minutes. I was just pinching, and from someone who doesn't know me, to see that. I remember being on the train actually here, and I did it a couple of times. I could pinch my lower ab, and I had the girl hysterically laughing at me on the train, mate, on the subway.
No wonder, mate.
Seriously, it's just it was so weird and strange. But again, that's definitely linked to some sort of mental health issue or body dysmorphia that I may or may not have been aware of at the time, or people around me may not have been aware of. But it was certainly there, and that's something that I had to get myself out of over time. So
that's exactly right, and it's just like an onion. You keep it's the self-awareness onion, as I read in the book. Where you just peeling off layers and layers of awareness, and eventually you just become more and more aware of these issues you have, or just aware of your state of health. And not obviously being too hung up on how you look, but then just being more aware of how you feel and all the stuff I mentioned earlier. But yeah, I was going to mention as well about what else is just to run through one or two more things? Like, what else do you think is gonna pressurize people to look a certain way? I think a lot of the time, and I've gathered this, I've had a few clients with this issue before, is where it's a partner. So like your boyfriend or girlfriend may be pressurizing you to look a certain way. Now that's a I think that may be up there. At the top, if you have a partner, or even if you've had partners in the past who have pressurized you to look a certain way, that's absolutely gonna instill in these kind of mental issues you have in terms of having a negative view of how you look, or just not being 100% happy with your body image. And let's face it, none of us are ever going to be 100% happy with that. I just wanted to cement that. But yeah, no, it's like, look, they obviously, whoever that partner is, if they're pushing you to look a certain way, and it's purely about how you look, then if you ask me, they've got their priorities wrong. That shouldn't be one of their priorities. Like, you look this way. Now, on the other side, on the other hand, if you're unhealthy and you're overweight, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna say this now. If you're overweight, you have a partner, and they're pushing you to, come on, move more, just try and make some more healthy choices, then you've got to understand that is for your own good. If it's purely about health, and maybe
if it's purely from love, right?
From love, yeah. And if it's like, say for example, you've had a health scare or something like that, and it's like, I don't know whether it's like insulin resistance or pre-diabetes or something like that, which that's what really, really motivates people to get out their ass and do something about it. But sometimes if it's about the look, and it's like, right, I want you to look this way, and you're not doing enough. Because I have had clients who've had serious issues with their partners in the past. So obviously just being aware of that as well, right, Drew?
Exactly, man. And if your partner is forcing you to look a certain way or eat a certain way, and things become too prevalent in terms of like tracking your food and always making comments about your food and comments about you not training and things like that, it's going to make you less likely to want to do that. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
The more people force you into doing something you don't want to do, the less likely you are to do that. You know what I mean? And that can definitely build up insecurities in a person.
Absolutely.
Again, like, with social media, like, I know me and you are starting to help people, and we're looking to help people, but we sometimes can be part of the problem with some of the images we put up. So if you feel that these guys on social media you're following are giving you insecurities and making you feel bad about yourself, unfollow. Simple as. Follow the odd one or two. There's no need for you to be following like 10, 20, 30, and all your posts coming up on Instagram or Facebook are all fitness related, because you're going to build up insecurities about your own body. It's unachievable to get to that physique sometimes. Sometimes you may be able to achieve it, but to maintain that physique all year round is unachievable. So if all you're seeing on your feed is about fitness and about people in shape and about fitness models who often look perfect, their food is perfect, their lifestyle's perfect, they're making a great deal of money as they're showing you on social media.
But in reality, as you said, they live with their mother. They live with their mother. They filtered the shit out of their pictures. It's probably not even a present picture or a recent picture even. It's probably a lot of them just leak out pictures from when they were shredded, right? And let me tell you now, a lot of these people are not in shape all year round and far from it. So that's a great point. That's a great tool. I mean, it's a great thing for people to actually apply, really. I mean, let's face it, right? You need to weigh up who's actually benefiting you in your life and who's benefiting you on social media, because that plays a big part in your life. Which one of these people are benefiting, having a positive effect on your life? And the ones who are not, the ones that you need to just look at it and go, right, okay, there's probably a lot of people I need to unfollow, to be honest, but don't do me any favors.
Same with me,
you know what I mean?
Like I said earlier,
something I'll do after this podcast.
There's people who I'm following who are the type of workouts they're doing are kind of making me feel a bit insecure, They're doing these crazy workouts. The way they move and the things they do, they're freaks, man.
Yeah, I know.
They're never going to be able to reach that level, like in terms of gymnastics and things like that. I'm pretty good in the gym. I know I can work hard. You've trained with me, right? I've got a good work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not moving as well as these people. I'm not doing these type of exercises, and that's making me feel like, should I be doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
Do I want to be a successful fitness model? Have I got to be at this level? Have I got to be like an Olympic level gymnast?
That's it.
So
that's it.
We're all going through the same thing as you guys are,
definitely.
as well, So
I'm bombarded with information. Like this is like, for me, Andrew knows about it. I've just signed up for a course now, which is going to teach me how to deliver webinars and produce products which are going to be beneficial to people and are going to create financial success for me. So I've got about 7 days now before I have to put together my own presentation. I have to promote and deliver a webinar to people online. The first one's going to be free. Just so you know, folks, right? I'll keep you tuned on this. You should go over to my Instagram at Martin Silva Fitness, and yeah, I'm going to be working hard on this now. But it was almost like yesterday, because the thing is, I listened to this webinar, right? There's a guy I follow, and I thought, right, this guy's really successful. I'm going to just learn from him. So I listened to his webinar, and I bought the course, paid quite a lot of money for it. But you know, one of the drivers behind this is because I am so distracted with everything, man. Honest to God, people, we're all in the same boat here, right? Because we're living in a world of distraction, right? We've just this iPhone in front of me now, right? You go on there, this will happen numerous times a day, right? Where I'll go on there to do something, to so-called check. I'll go on there to check something like a message. Before you know it, I've gone on about 6 or 7 different apps, and I've spent about half hour. And what have I done on there? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know, and as I mentioned before,
nothing's benefited you, right? In that time, nothing has benefited you in that time. What have you learned?
What have you learned? Nothing. And talking about self-awareness, as I mentioned before, guys and girls, you want to get yourself this app. It's called Moment. Okay, and Andrew, I reckon you should get on this too as well. It's called Moment. It tracks how long you spent on your phone each day. Yes, it's worrying. Yes, it makes you more self-aware. And also, it tells you how many times you picked your phone up and put it down. You know, and I think at my worst, I think I spent about 6.5 hours on my phone, and I think I picked it up over 100 times in one day. So, like, just being aware of that, you know, how much time are you wasting on your phone and stuff, on your smartphone, because it's just we are literally inundated with information, and I am really personally, guys, one of the reasons why I wanted to bang this episode out is because I'm struggling myself with this, and I can really relate to when it comes to wasting time and just not focusing on the right things, guys, because we only get one life, and before you know it, 10 years have gone by, and we may look back and go, what have I done with those 10 years? I had these goals, I had these dreams. What have I really done? And let's face it, over those years, if you could calculate how much time you spent scrolling through other people's lives, it's not good, is it?
And one of the biggest things I've been working on, which I'm pretty good at, is that the first thing in the morning I don't check any emails. I don't check any social media for at least 2 hours, because I know that's going to trigger me and set my day out, right? It's going to probably, most likely, something on there is going to piss me off, or tick me off, right? And something's going to put me in a bad mood. No matter what someone says, I can read it wrongly. You know, I can perceive it in whatever way I want. It could be the most, it could be one of the best posts out there, right? But I could perceive it in the wrong way. And then I'm going to attack my day wrong, okay? I'm going to attack my day differently. That's the same goes nighttime, right? You've got to really focus on switching off these electronics, not looking at social media at night, giving yourself some respite, giving yourself some time to switch off, and you're going to have a better sleep. Now, sleep quality is going to set you up for the next day, how you eat, what your stress levels are like, how you move. Okay, so just take that into consideration when it comes to social media, when it comes to emails, things like that. Anything that's going to trigger you in a negative way, you need to switch that off.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's becoming aware of it, like you are with that app.
Yep.
That may be an option for you, but just kind of limit it as much as you can, and I promise you'll start feeling better about life. Just read a book and educate yourself.
100%. And I just wanted to say as well, like I mentioned about it being a drug. Like, I've read a book, guys and girls. You should get on this book, and so should you, Drew. I think I mentioned it to you before, and I've just had a bit of a brain block. And what was it called? Oh crap, I forgot the name of it. That's awkward. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There we are. That's memory loss. That is, from looking at my phone too much. Listen, it'll come back to me anyway. But it is a drug, essentially. Yeah, yes. So social media, you know, and electronics and all this kind of stuff. It is a drug, and it's almost like if I told you, right, you could get your hands on this drug, right? And because let's face it, there's so many. It's like a terrible drug, right? Get your hands on this drug, and what it's going to do is it's going to decrease. It's gonna have a detrimental effect on your sleep quality. It's gonna have it's guaranteed gonna have a detrimental effect on your mental health, because it will do over time. Social media.
100%.
Exactly. It's gonna increase your stress hormones, cortisol, setting you up for failure in the future. Because we're under a constant state of stress anyway, this day and age, right? With technology, but not to mention your smartphone. Whenever you're looking at that, scrolling, and we're under a constant state of stress, so that's not doing you any favors. You know, it's going to ruin your relationship. I could go on forever, right? Would you take that drug, and? Exactly. So that's what it's just being mindful of that, really, isn't it? It's annoying me now. I want to know the name of this book. But yeah, let's just cap it off now, and anyway, because we've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I think it's been hopefully
it's been enjoyable.
Hopefully it's been enjoyable for us. I'm not sure about the listeners, but hopefully they've hopefully they benefited.
They probably switched off at the beginning.
I know, they're like, oh god, here they go again. No, but hopefully they've listened to.
How do you feel like if you were dealing with someone who you feel has body dysmorphia? Like initially, you definitely need to educate them. Like whether it's, we've kind of educated ourselves by listening to podcasts like this. So that's definitely helped me get out of that. So your first step may be to educate them in a certain way. So if you feel like they're probably training too much, they're always doing high intensity sessions, they're doing that 7 times a week, twice a day, that's probably a sign and symptom that they have some sort of body dysmorphia, or they're cutting out food groups and things like that. Initially, it's probably best to educate people and show them why this isn't good and this isn't prevalent. And then if they continue to have these same problems and they're falling into depression and anxiety, you as a person, as a friend, family member, or even a coach, if you're not qualified to deal with that, and they're not taking your info on board, and you're not able to educate them, that's probably the time then when you need to refer them to like someone who knows about mental health, someone who's qualified, a doctor, a psychiatrist, following someone like Aaron Correa with Protectors, someone else who is fully qualified then to take them to another level where they can deal with that and try and step out of this depression and anxiety. They may not get over it fully, but you can get better with time, like I have, like Martin has as well.
Definitely. Thanks a lot for that. That was a great summary, mate. But yeah, I wanted to dive into a few little points here, some tips. Just remember, everyone, right? Remember, it's a process. Life is a process, right? Now, it sounds a bit woo-woo, right? But the key is, right, we need to try and enjoy the process, because all we have, this is why I wanted to take up meditation and be more consistent with it, all we have is the here and now. Right, just remember that. That's all we have. Yes, we have the future and the past, obviously, but they're out of our control. All we have is the here and now. You need to try and enjoy the process as much as you can. Now, when it comes to body image issues, right, and just like chasing a physique, you want certain areas to look better, that's great, and that's completely normal. I still want to work on certain areas, but when it gets to a point where it's making you feel down, and it's really frustrating you and stressing you out on a daily level, then you need to check yourself and you need to reassess why you're doing it. Give yourself, if you can give yourself 3 reasons, that's great. But if you can give yourself 5 reasons as to why you want to achieve this physique, I guarantee you it'll put things into perspective a bit better for you. It'll make you realize that actually, are these the right reasons? But the key thing is, like I said, it's a process, and where was I going with that then? Yeah, it's a process, and it is a process you will go through. It's a process you will go through. So, although me and Andrew are saying, oh yeah, you need to focus on health, blah, 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 it takes a long time, as I've said, to get to that point. So it's a process, and be prepared to go through it. If you're trying to get in shape, you're trying to look better or whatever, then it is a process you will go through. So just try and be more in tune and connected with your body and how you feel, and all those things we just mentioned, all the markers like your skin. People seem to write off things when they have, like, for example, bad skin. They have bad skin, and they'll go to the doctors, and as the usual, the hammer and nail effect, boom, let's nip this in the bud, and let's give you some pills.
Prescription medicine, right?
That's exactly right. And in Western society, it's almost a norm for us now. It's like if shit hits the fan, we have the solution, but we can't help you, and we don't know why the reason is, and a lot of the time the reason will be probably something you're putting into your gut. Now, let's face it, your immune system accounts for, your gut accounts for around 2/3 of your immune system. Now, when you get an outbreak on your skin, or if you're getting bloating, or if you're getting, psoriasis or skin issues, a lot of the time that's going to be something that's going wrong internally with your gut or your hormones. So that's why you really need to pay attention to how you feel, and that is then going to determine how much body fat you're losing, how much muscle you're gaining, and effectively how you're going to look long term. So
exactly, great point that as well. And then ultimately, if it is an issue, don't hide away from it. Acknowledge it, process it, and deal with it whatever way it takes. If you need to turn to friends to help you, then, or someone who has more knowledge on this, someone who's qualified, just deal with it. And again, it's a process. It takes time.
Absolutely.
Like Martin says, if you're eating poorly and you're eating a lot of refined carbohydrates, then it's going to affect your gut and your gut bacteria, and again, that's going to have a huge effect on how you're looking, how you're feeling, stress levels, hormones, sleep, relationships, etc., etc. We bang on about this a lot, but we really, really want to promote this to you and get you better, and give you some valid information.
That's it, exactly. And a lot of people probably listen to this, like, taking it with a pinch of salt, thinking, oh, this, it might sound a bit extreme to you, but there will be a lot of people that can relate to it. And I wanted to give you an example when it comes to the process. I'm not going to mention her name because she's a big fan of this podcast. I've got about 6 fans now, so she's one of them.
That's two. One's your mum, one's your sister.
That's right. One's your mum and your sister. One's my cat, and the other one is. Well, I almost mentioned her name. Now, I'm not going to mention her name, but she has gone through this process, and it's a familiar process. She has come a long way in a short amount of time. She's lost a lot of body fat. I never go on weight, but she has lost a lot of weight. She's lost about, I think, 11, 12 kilos altogether now. And she's gone through an extreme process now since I've been training over the last few months since she hired me, of this extreme body image issue, where to the point where she's walking down the street and occasionally she feels like people are looking at her and, like checking out her physique all the time and stuff, like getting really obsessed with it. And she's battled with it, like, because she's come such a long way, and she's literally accelerated faster than most people I've trained, because she's stuck to what I've given her. Just doing the simple things, guys, like she invested in a Fitbit. So she's got this tracking device on her wrist, tracks how many steps she does. I told her to hit between 10 and 15,000 steps a day because she has a sedentary job. She's doing that consistently. She's drinking water consistently, and she's eating decent food for most of the time. So those 3 things on top of lifting weights, boom, she is absolutely getting insane results. But she is at a point where she's like really, like almost the same, if not worse, mentally than when she was fat. And do you know what? I'm always like trying to educate her and help her out during the session, in between sets and whatnot. And she said, yeah, she feels actually a little bit worse now than what she did when she was really overweight. Because when she was really overweight, she didn't really give a shit about how she looked. She was completely, like we said about self-awareness, she was unaware and oblivious to the fact that she was, really in an unhealthy state. But now she's more tuned into it, and that's what you've got to be aware of, folks. Like, when you come on this process, if you are in a process or you're looking to lose body fat and whatever your goals are, get healthy, get fit, it's all a process. You're going to go through these stages, and if you're overweight, if you listen to this and you're overweight and you've lost a lot of weight, you may go through that period where you think, oh crap, I'm not getting nowhere. I don't like this area, I don't like that area. But let me just tell you, just like I told her, have compassion for yourself. Have some compassion for yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and just say, listen, I'm giving this my best shot. Can I do anything else? No. And even if there is things you can improve on, it comes with time. Okay, so just have more compassion and just try your best to enjoy the process.
Yeah, just don't focus on that end goal. I find that with clients as well. They may have dropped like so much body fat, or they may have dropped 20 pounds, but they're like, oh, I still got 10 pounds to go. I've still got this, I've still got that. And I'm like, look how far you've come and what you've achieved in that time and how much you've changed as a person. And all the knowledge you have now, just enjoy it, take it in, see how far you've come. That end goal will eventually come, and hopefully you'll be happy then. But sometimes, if you haven't got happiness within, you're not going to get there, unfortunately. There's other forms of happiness other than how your body looks. So just be aware of that as well.
That's right. And
that's what we preach about, focusing on health all the time.
Definitely. It's being in touch internally and not focusing too much on the external stuff. But that takes a lot of time. And without going too much into that, I think we better wrap this one up now.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else I wanted to clear up? That's pretty much it in a nutshell. But just enjoy the process. We're not going to grow. Nothing great ever came from comfort zones. So unless you're feeling a bit uncomfortable and having to push yourself a little bit, then you're not really going to grow. So embrace these uncomfortable times, as weird as it sounds. Like right now after this, I've got to crack on with this bloody this course I'm doing. It's going to be really intense over the next 7 days. But I try my best to just check myself every now and then when I feel the stress building up and just say, you enjoying it? And I'm like, you know what? I am enjoying it. You've just got to try and be in tune with the fact that when you look back in years to come, you're going to want to go back to these times and go back to the process. So thanks a lot for chiming in, Ant.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate it, mate. I think we dropped a few gems here, and I'm just going to say it.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I hope the listeners enjoyed that one.
Exactly. And any listeners out there, could you please give me a rating on iTunes, 5-star review preferably, and a rating. It'd be a massive help. That's how I'm going to get this podcast out there, is by getting those ratings in. And yes, if you have any questions, you can just drop me a DM on Instagram at Martin Silva Fitness. Same goes to Andrew at Mr. Bond Fitness. If you've got any questions you want to ask us. Also, you can get my email address via my Instagram. So go check that out and stay tuned, because next week I'm going to be delivering a free webinar. That's going to be a 75-minute webinar where I'm just going to be giving you loads of free information on nutrition and whatnot. And it's definitely worth doing. So you can just drop me a message or send me over your email, and I'll add you to the list for that anyway. Thanks a lot, Drew. Anything you wanted to say, mate?
I think I'm good there. Just keep listening, keep learning, keep evaluating. It is a journey, it is a process. Again, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, I'll be chiming in every now and again. Give us a 5-star rating, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.